going to be refinishing this dresser for my son's room. He has a smaller dresser and he's just maxed out on room. We're stuffing stuff in the drawers, so it's time to get something a little bigger. I found this dresser at Goodwill for $5, and I was really inspired by these little dinosaur knobs. He loves dinosaurs, so I'm going to take these primary colors and I'm going to do like layers of paint, and it's going to hopefully turn out to be like a chippy paint boat wood kind of look, and I'm gonna hope that it turns out great. But if you'd like to find out, then stay tuned.
Since I'd started on this piece a while back, I had already mixed the Bondo and covered. There was a lot of veneer chipping off these drawers. I knew that I didn't want to use the hardware, so I've also filled in the holes where the hardware goes. The next step will be to sand all of this away. If you've followed me for a while, you know that this Surf Prep sander is my favorite sander. It's actually the only one that I use, and the sanding pad has been needing to be replaced for quite a while now, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that before I start sanding, because my paper is actually not even like staying on the sander at this point. So while I'm doing this, I thought that I could show you some shortcuts, and these can be used for more than just replacing sanding pads. So the screw that I ordered is actually too long, so I'm going to show you here how to cut it shorter. You could do this with hardware knobs or screws. If they're too long, you just use these wire cutting tools, and right there in those holes that I was pointing at, you're going to take your screw and try to fit it into one of those holes. And then once you find where it fits, you screw it down, apply pressure, and then it will just cut your screw for you. I've screwed knobs into these holes before, and it cuts just the same. You do need a lot of pressure though, and sometimes I do have to use either my husband or something heavy to help apply the pressure. On this one, I did not like doing the tool by hand, so what I've done is I've cut off that bend part, and then I just tightened it into my drill. So now I could just use my drill to screw in those screws. Now that my Surf Prep is in fully functioning condition, I am going to sand back all of this Bondo until I have a smooth surface. I'm not incredibly worried about it being perfect because I am going in with a texture afterwards. Next, I'm going to go in with this stripper. I don't have much left, so I'm not going to be able to put as much as I would like, but I'm just spreading it with a chip brush. They're really cheap. You can find them at Home Depot or Lowe's. But I'm going to spread it all over the top, so then I can follow with a scraper to scrape off what will come off. Like I said, I'm going to follow in with a scraper and scrape off the finish that will come off. I didn't have much stripper, so it's a very light layer, but it will still be helpful in the end. After I'm finished scraping that away, I'll clean it with mineral spirits just to get all the gummy stuff off. Wipe it away, use an all-purpose cleaner, and then I'll follow with a wet rag. I'll let that dry and then go immediately into sanding off the rest of the finish. I do know that this is a veneer on top, so I'm going to go lightly so I don't blow through the veneer. A veneer is a very thin sheet of wood that's been glued, usually on top of a piece of particle board. So if you do blow through it, then you will have to replace the veneer or find another way to finish your top. Now I'm going to start prepping for paint by taping off the top of the dresser. I want to keep it separate because I do plan on staining this afterwards. I'm going to go in with a Zinsser 123 primer on the entire piece. And I will only be doing one coat because I'm only worried about the paint adhering to the dresser. Now I'm going to start mixing for the textured layers. This will be the red, the blue, and the yellow. I'm going to add 1 part paint and 1 scoop of a texture additive, and then I'll mix it until it's kind of like a pudding consistency. I'm going to put all the drawers in because I want to paint this as a whole piece versus like painting the drawers separately. I'm preparing my area so I don't get paint on the top of the dresser. And I decided that I wanted to use a foam roller to apply the textured paint. I feel like it will go faster. I've never done this before, so we'll see how it goes. Followed by the blue, and then I'm going to do the yellow. Then I'll let that dry. Now that all of my textured layers have dried, I'm going to go in and paint the entire piece in this green. Once I'm finished painting green, I'm going to go in with a carbide scraper and I'm going to scrape back some of the green so I can get those layers to poke through. I'm starting out lightly at first because I don't really know how much pressure I want to use while scraping back. And then I will gradually add a little more pressure as I go. I found while scraping back that I had way too much yellow and I did not like it, and that's okay. That's part of the process. If you don't like something, you could just fix it. So I'm going to go back through and add some more red, and I realized that I didn't even do orange, and there is an orange knob, so I wanted to incorporate the orange also. So I made an orange, and I'm going to apply that as well. After that dries, I'm going to go back over everything with the green. At first I was thinking maybe I could leave some spots open, but I did ultimately decide just to paint over the entire piece green. I'm going to repeat that scraping step, and then I'm going to scrape back the green that I just painted. And I'm really liking this a lot better than the first time. This is what I ended up with, and this is what I had envisioned, so I like it, and this is how it's gonna stay. I'll be going with a fine foam pad sanding paper just to smooth out. Some of that texture is kind of sharp, and I just don't want to get snagged on anything. So I'm going to sand back this entire piece just to smooth out the texture. I'm going to work on the top now, so I'm going to peel back all of the painter's tape that I had protecting the top of the dresser that I sanded so I can get ready to stain. I will be staining the top in Varathane gel stain in dark walnut. I have gloves on and a microfiber cloth, which I will be dipping into the can and rubbing onto the wood in a circular motion. This helps me keep from making streaks, and usually my stain dries very fastly here, so this just helps control that it is getting applied evenly and without streaks. Now I'm going to go in with a clear coat. I'm using Kristana's Trust the Process brush. It is for blending, but I'm also going to use it for applying clear. So I've put my clear coat onto the tray, and I'm just dipping it and then making sure I'm spreading the clear coat evenly. Next, I'm going to apply the knobs, and then I'll be done.
Okay guys, here it is, the finished dresser. Now I have plenty of room for all my son's clothes. My boys no longer have to share. This was actually a very fun piece to do. I like whenever I get to kind of go freely with my creativity, and I don't really have to worry about smooth finishes and everything being perfect. This matches my son's personality perfectly. It is colorful and just the dinosaurs. He loves dinosaurs. So if you learned anything or just had fun watching, I hope that you will follow along, hit the follow button, and see what I do next. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Feeling so small, watch the clock ticking off the wall, but tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Beautiful stars, I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no,